Hello everyone. I am going to close the chat on the computer because, let's see, there we go. On the phone because I have it open on the computer. So I'm trying a new setup tonight. All right, so I know there's just a couple that, okay, sorry, a phone call came through. I was like, oh no, I hope it didn't cut me off. That may not be the best solution, so we'll give it a try. All right, can everybody hear me all right? I know I see Ashley, Stivers Homestead, Johnson Family Farmstead, hello. Let's see, Miss B is here. Little Bits of Heaven Homestead, hey Catherine. Okay, good to see everyone here tonight. We're gonna start by just checking in. Where's everybody watching from? If your channel name is different than your first name, if you don't mind telling me your first name, because I really try to get to know everybody. And I know you told me last week, Stivers, but I already forgot. I'm gonna write it down this week, who you guys are. And Johnson family, I'm not sure. I don't remember you guys either. Good, I'm getting a yes, you guys can hear me fine. So I'm in Missouri, and it is a little bit warmer today. It was really cold a couple days ago. It's slowly creeping up. Hello, Two Wild Onions is here. Hi, Christy. Thank you for coming. So today I think we hit 40s. I have on a t-shirt and a hoodie. All right, I'm gonna write that down, Stivers. Sorry, I just interrupted myself by this. I'm gonna have a hard time getting used to this, so I'm gonna try not to be distracted by the chat. But I can read it a little bit better because it is bigger. Give me a second to write this down. Jen and Zach. All right. Yes, Catherine, I remember you. Okay, so today we hit about 40, and I did chores like this, and I was comfortable unless it got windy a little bit. Hello, Luke. Thanks for joining. Let's see. I think I know most everybody who's here. Thanks for joining. So tonight's topic, Kelly Wright might be popping in later. I don't know if she's going to be able to make it. She is a viewer on YouTube. She watches a lot of you guys. She doesn't have a channel, and they're getting ready to move here to Missouri. And so we were talking about how the YouTube community is really supportive of each other, because when you're homesteaders, and in some places where some of us live when we start out, there's not very many like-minded people around. In Los Angeles, there's not a whole lot of people that are growing their own food and want to have chickens and stuff like that. And so a lot of us leave those kind of environments. We finally decide to take that leap and move rural, and then we're leaving behind everything familiar and we're coming somewhere new. And so we're talking about how it is to make friends. So that's going to be tonight's topic. How do we develop those new relationships when we move somewhere unfamiliar? All right, I'm going to take a second and see who else is here. Hello, Rent to Grown. I'm sorry I've forgotten your first name. Do you mind telling me? Yes, I remember momming you. I'm glad that you came back. You stayed. It didn't take you away. Hello, Alan Travis. Sam's Allotment Diary. Hello from the UK. You are up late. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Claire. All right. I'm going to take note. I do like to know everybody's first name, so I try to keep up with you guys. Ashley says she's pretty good at making new friends. Yes, you are actually very friendly. Let's see, who else have we got in the house? Miss B in Nevada has lots of rain and dreariness in the 30s and 40s. That's Fahrenheit, which is right around 0 and a little bit above Celsius for those who are watching. Chickens are loving the longer days and are laying a bit more. Mine too, and I like that it's getting light out when I'm getting up. Okay, all right, Ashley, I'll try not to fawn over you too much. All right. Oh, Sam's allotment diary, you're one of those that doesn't sleep very much. And you guys probably don't have very long days right now. I think UK's a little bit north of us. Let's see. Jen says, I have a hard time holding friendships because I don't set aside enough time to grow the relationships, but I'm working on it. Yes, so I will, let's see, we're about 5 minutes in. I will share my story with everybody. I guess I'll do that right now. And if people miss it, they can always go back and watch the replay, right? That's what you guys get for being here right from the beginning. We lived in Los Angeles, and I think quite a few of you are new to my channel, so I don't know how much background you know already. So if I give you stuff you already know, sorry, but I'm just gonna tell it. Hello, Rosanna, glad you're joining us. My husband and I lived in the Los Angeles area for about 20-something years. We moved there in 95, and we left in 2014, so just under 20 years, so 19 years-ish. And Chris worked in the television industry, and I worked as a sign language interpreter. I still do. He no longer does. Prior to that, we had lived a little bit of everywhere. He grew up Louisiana and Oklahoma. I grew up California, Oregon, Alaska, college in Louisiana where we met, and then we moved to California, and we were there the longest. And in 2014, I left California with my girls. We moved to rural Missouri. My parents had retired here about 10 or 12 years prior to that, so we had been here on vacation, but we had never lived here. I had never farmed. That's why my name is not a farm girl. So we were moving to a new community to learn new skills. Chris stayed behind in California for 2 years, funding the beginning of our house build. And then at that point, even though our house wasn't done, we had a talk and said he was missing our girls' teen years. They were, they're going to grow up and be out of the house soon. And we just had to make the decision that he was going to join us. So he left his job in California and moved here to be with us, and has been here since 2016. Let's see. Rent to Grown. Claire, you are from where you live, which is nice. Yes. Hello, Diana at Justice Acres. And Alan, you're a Louisiana native. So Chris lived there from the time he was 3 until we got married, and then 2 years after that. So he lived there quite a long time. And we went to college in Baton Rouge. That's where we met. Okay. Two Wild Onions. I do not have a hard time making friends, but I do need time alone to recharge. Mimsy's Garden. Hello, Anna. Hello from Southeast Mississippi. How's your weather? I was reading today, Georgia and someone else, Florida, they were complaining about the cold, so I'm guessing you guys are pretty cold there too. And I'm gonna write down names of new people because I really do want to get to know you all. It's Anna. All right. Let's see. Cold. Yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. All right. So I knew moving from California, where we had lived for 20 years, our children had only lived in 2 houses, and the one they lived in most of the time, we moved there when my daughters were 2 and 4. They really only knew that life. We had a pool in the backyard. We had neighbors 2 doors down that were really good friends that had a girl the same age as my younger one, and a cousin the same age as my older one, another girl. So really good friends there, really good friends at church. They'd been at the same school the whole time, just about till we left. So when we moved, I knew that I was moving to a small community. Our town where we live now has a population of 3,000. It's like the last census, it was like 2995. That's city, of course, there's more in the county surrounding it, but it's still, a really small town compared to where we came from. And I am not naturally a overtly friendly person. Hello, Mr. Gaines. Good to see you again. Just be careful what you say, because Ashley will block you if you take it too far. Ashley, just so you know, Mr. Gaines, Llewellyn Gaines, does comment on some of my videos, and he and Chris have an understanding. So as long as he stays clean, you don't have to kick him out. So thank you for joining us tonight. So because you guys only know me on video where I'm talking to the camera, I'm fairly comfortable talking to the camera. I talk to you on a daily basis. You may not know that I, by nature, am kind of shy. I'm not 100% introvert. I call myself an outgoing introvert, meaning I like people, but I need my time alone to recharge, just as somebody else said just a second ago. I forget who said that. So when in my typical go-to, so let's say that I go somewhere to a new environment, I'm invited to a friend's house for something, and it's her group of friends and I don't know them. My typical way that I would enter that is I would hang out around the edges. I'm gonna sit back and just kind of watch everybody. I'm probably gonna get a food or you know, something to drink in my hands so that I have something to do with my hands. And I'm gonna probably have my phone nearby just in case I get like overwhelmed and I can just kind of check out for a minute. And I'm just gonna kind of see how everybody interacts and then kind of figure out who's who and how they relate before I approach somebody. So that is how I am by nature. That's what I would do at a party, at a classroom, any kind of social gathering. That's a church, anywhere. That's just kind of how I do. But I knew moving here that I wanted to make friends here. So I spent the first year making a concerted effort to make friends. All right, now make sure that you put questions for me in all caps, or put several question marks like for, before, and after, so I make sure it's a question. But Claire, I do see your question. Have you gone to, or would you consider going to one of the various homestead gatherings throughout the year, or would you feel like that would be too overwhelming? That is a great question. Here, I'm in southern Missouri, and I'm just about half an hour from Baker Creek, and every year they have the Spring Planting Festival. Last year, I knew Doug and Stacy were going to be there. Living Traditions were going to be there. I know Kevin and Sarah because we live near the same town. Farm Alarm was going to be there. White House on the Hill was going to be there. Renda and Jim were going to be there. You know, all these big name or familiar to me name YouTubers were going to be at this event. And I made myself go. And it was tough. It was really tough. But I made shirts that said "Not a Farm Girl" so that people could find me and recognize me. The Awesome Homestead was there. Chris and Joe were there. There was lots of people there. And that's actually where I met Ashley. And they were very welcoming. And it was tough, but I was like, I want to meet these people. I want to get to know them. I want to be a part of this community. So I just would walk up and introduce myself. And I actually was pretty brazen because Ashley and Tracy, we'd been commenting on each other's videos, and White House on the Hill, we'd been commenting. We were all pretty small about that time before Jake and Becky like skyrocketed. So they were fairly new YouTubers at that time, and we'd all been talking and commenting, and we knew each other from another a collaboration that Jeanette Neal started, was how we all were introduced to each other, called What's So Good About Missouri. So feel free to look that up if you want to. Anyway, so I knew I was going to meet them. So the first day, it's a 2-day event, and at the end of the first day I was talking to Ashley and Tracy, and I knew I wanted to get to know them more and be their friend, and I said, can I come hang out in your school bus tomorrow? They live in a converted schoolie, and they had it there. Can I just come hang out with you for a while in the morning before it starts? I'd love to hang out. And they said, yeah, of course we can. And Jake and Becky were standing there, and they're like, oh, we want to come too. So that's really how I got to know all of them. But it took every bit of courage I had to step out and say that and make that effort. All right, I'm going to stop and see some comments, see if there's anything for me. Luke, I will definitely be there this year, for sure. Let's see. Okay. Hello, Elizabeth from Branscombe Farms. We're glad you're here tonight. Okay, so we're talking about making friends as adults and what we can do about it. And you know, when you're a kid, you make friends because you go to the same school, or because you go to the same church, or because your parents are friends and they force you to be together, or you play sports together, right? That's pretty much how, or you live near each other. Those are like probably what I say, about 5 different ways that you make friends as kids. And for some reason we think as adults that it's something different. So I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, well, and there's another thing too, that homesteading can be isolating if you live very remotely, because there's so much to do on the farm that you're not going to get off farm very much, you know, probably. And then the other thing about it too is I love being at home. I am very much a homebody. I am very content to just sit at home and have a cup of coffee and play in the dirt and play with my animals, and pretty much, you know, I like that. I'm okay with that. But I knew I wanted to make friends. Once I got here, I knew that I would need that. I knew that there would be times where I would want to get off farm and go do something, and I would want people to do it with. And so when I moved here to Missouri, I had to make the effort to do so. So I guess the first thing, let me see, I made some notes. While I look over my notes, I'm going to kind of scroll through. All right, 2 wild onions, I'm going to look for you. You come looking for me. I'm not going to be wearing a shirt this year. I think everybody pretty much knows what I look like now. I mean, excuse me. I will be wearing a shirt. I am not going to be wearing not a farm girl shirt. I promise I'm coming clothed. Everybody would recognize me if I came without a shirt, but I don't think they would allow that at that event. They're not that kind of people. Sarah Mann Luker says, hi, my problem is that I should be called the nerdy farm girl. I think people don't relate to my love of gardening and such. And Jay's in the house. Hi, Jay from Grateful Sioux Nights. Okay, so I want to talk about that, Sarah, first of all. I think that is another reason that it's hard as homesteaders to make friends sometimes, because we are so into what we're doing and we just don't get why not everybody else on the planet thinks it's such a wonderful thing to be self-sustaining and grow your own food and raise some animals. And I mean, people think I'm really strange, especially where I came from, because I came from LA, right? So people see my videos of pigs and raising pigs, they're like, oh, they're so cute, how can you eat them? I'm like, because their names are bacon and sausage. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm like, people just don't get it. So that's another thing. And then even after moving here, so there are lots and lots of people in Missouri who are living this kind of lifestyle, that are living, you know, off grid or self-sustaining, that kind of thing. But then there's a whole lot of people who are doing things conventionally. There's lots of around here dairy farms, cattle ranches, people who are growing things conventionally with pesticides, and they think we're kind of weird too, because we don't do things that way. So there's that whole thing. All right, let's see. And Mama Gross is in the house. Everybody's here tonight. Last week I had no moderators, and now I've got like a room full of moderators. But I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much. That is so weird. Did you guys hear that? There's a toy. I'm in the church nursery. I'm going to get it and show you. Okay. This toy just sang. It's in the off position, and this little thing just lit up and sang like that. But it was switched off. I have no idea what started it. That was bizarre. Look, it did it again. And it was sitting by the wall. The haunted church nursery. Don't tell the kids. They won't want to come in here. Shh, stop it. That's weird. So weird. All right, let's see. Jen says, I think we also have a hard time understanding why others who aren't homesteaders are interested in the things they are. At least I do. And that's probably true, you know, and that's why that whole thing is like find your tribe, right? That's such a popular saying. 5 years ago nobody said tribe. Now everybody says tribe. Find your tribe. You're my tribe. You're my people. She's my people, right? So what are we going to do? We're going to move to this small town where, oh, and here's another challenge when you live in a town this side. Everybody knows everybody, and probably half of them are related. So, true story. About a year ago this time, my daughter Carter was talking to me, and she's like, I cannot believe how many deaths there have been in town this week. I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, so-and-so at our church, their mom died, and then Mrs. So-and-so, her mom died, and then our school principal, her mom died too. And I said, they're siblings. That was just one mom, but they're all brothers and sisters. And she was like, what? Like, we had no idea that they were so, you know, so closely related, like these three people that we knew from different areas. And that's just the way it is here. Everybody's related, or they know each other really well. When some people were doing some work on our house, this one guy, I swear he talked like Mater from Cars. He was like, I would ask him something, you know, like, are you guys gonna be here Friday? He goes, well, we might be, but I heard the fishing's supposed to be pretty good Friday, so we might go fishing instead. Like that kind of thing. Or I would ask him about, how many light switches I needed for something. Well, I reckon the way I'd figure it is, when I'm ready to leave that room, where am I going to be headed? Am I going to the garage? Do I want a light switch over there? Or are you going to be going in the bedroom? Do you want the light switch over there by the bedroom? And I was just cracking up. Like, it took everything in me not to laugh all day long. It was just not in a mean way, but I just loved it because, you know, in LA, they don't talk like that very much. And so, I was mentioning it to my other friend, and she goes, oh, I grew up next door to him, and when my parents split up, he became like a second dad to me. And I was like, I'm so glad that I said it in a nice way and I wasn't making fun, because I had no idea. But everybody knows everybody when you live in a town this size, and you just have to always keep that in mind. But what that says about friendship is it may be harder to make friends because they are all so interconnected. They're already friends with each other, right? All right, I'm going to stop real quick and see if there's some comments. Someone said that the toy's talking because the batteries are low. Oh, good. All right, good to know. All right. Let's see. All right, I don't think did I see Liz in that? Everybody's here tonight. Hi, Liz. Welcome. Liz from By Their Farm. Cranky Bubushka, thank you for joining. Let's see. Claire says, for real, small town life is so political. I swear I'm related to half of West Tennessee. Yes, exactly. Well then, what do we do? What do we do? So I'll tell you what I did. So I've talked a little bit, for those of you who have jumped in a little bit late, I talked in a little bit about how it is not in my nature to be overly friendly when I'm entering a new social situation. I am more of a sit back and observe and see how people interact and relate to each other, and then maybe approach somebody after I've been there a time or two. So here, when I moved here to this tiny small town, I was leaving all my friends of 20 years, and I wanted to make friends here. So I made an effort. So there are some things you can do. First of all, is we talked about when you're a kid, you're gonna meet kids who live near you, kids who go to school with you, kids who maybe go to church with you, play sports teams with you, or kids who are friends, who your parents are friends with their kids, right? Those are kind of the places typically you're gonna make friends as a kid. As an adult, it's not much different. So the first thing I'm gonna say is find something to get involved with in your small town. So if you're moving to your small town and you don't know anybody and you're moving somewhere, and you don't really, this can apply to a large town too. If you're just moving somewhere and you want to make friends and it's not super easy for you, find something to get involved with. So in our small town, we've got churches, homeschool groups, the farmers market, an art guild, an organic gardening club. We've got the MOC, which is Missouri Ozarks Community Health. Basically, it's a gym like the YMCA. We've got a pool. We've got craft fairs. We've got 4-H clubs. We've got a sale barn. We've got, all that. So find somewhere where you think you're going to meet people who might have some similar interests of you. So that's what I did. So I started with church friends and with our homeschool group. Then came the tough part. So now I'm somewhere where I know there's going to be other people who think like we do, other parents of homeschoolers. And I walked up to people and put on my best, brightest smile, and hopefully I didn't look like, because that's how I felt inside, was like, I felt very awkward. I felt very nerdy. I felt very out of place. But I walked up and I smiled and said, "Hi, I don't think we've met yet. I'm Lorella." And you know what most people said? "No, we haven't met. I'm so-and-so, Tara or Sarah or Jane or whomever, I think it's a very human nature, a very human desire to want to be liked and to want to have friends, to want to be included. And I think that if you take that first step, that part, for me, is the hardest part. So then what comes after that? Okay, then you stand there like, so how about this weather, right? So one tip that I have learned is it's more important to be interested than interesting. I know that for myself, and I believe for lots of others, when somebody's talking, a lot of times I'm formulating what I'm going to say next because I think ahead in the conversation. So I have really trained myself to slow down and ask questions and listen to the answers. So at the homeschool group, which children are yours? So and so and so and so. Or at the farmer's market, to walk up to somebody who's making soaps or something. So what kind of soaps are these? Because that's something I'm interested in. How long have you been doing this? What's your favorite kind of soap to make? And really listen to the answers and then kind of let that guide the conversation. If you are interested in what somebody else has to say, if you take a true interest in them, all of us are have that little bit of ego, that desire to want to share our passion with somebody else. And if you see somebody doing something they're passionate about and you compliment it and you engage with them about that, it's going to be pretty easy to connect. So that would be like the first step, I would say. Is the first step, introductions. That for me is the hardest part. Second step, just strike up a conversation about something about the other person. That's easy for me because I'm very curious and I like to know how stuff works. So asking people how they do stuff. Something as simple as, what brought you here today? Or how'd you hear about this event? Or have you come here? Are you here all the time? I'm new here. What do you think I should know? Is there something in town that I should know about that I don't know yet? I mean, that's a great resource, right? All right, I'm gonna hang on just a second because I think some more people stopped in. Hello, Howie is here. I thought I saw Mom H, but I'm not sure. Somebody's saying hi to her, so she's here. Good night, Liz. Thanks for stopping by. So introduction, be interested in them, ask questions, get to know them. Okay, so now hopefully you're gonna be at several different places and have, because really the first time when you're walking up to somebody, you're totally judging a book by its cover. I'm totally looking at this person and go, okay, I like the way they dress. I like what they're selling. I'm gonna walk up. After that, you may or may not want to get to know them more. That may not be a friendship, but it can be an acquaintance, right? It'd still be somebody you can have conversation with when you see them at that place again. So let's say I've had a conversation with, like that with a person a couple times, and then I think I think I'd really like to be friends with this person. The next thing that I did was I asked them out on a date. I would say, quite honestly, I'm new. I don't have a lot of friends. Well, I might not say that actually. I would probably say it. Let me try and think back. So we've talked a couple times. I might say, you know what? I'd really love to go get a cup of coffee. Are you free on? And I would pull up my calendar. Are you free on Wednesday or Friday? Do you have any time this week that we could maybe go get a cup of coffee? Why not? Why not? I mean, because I think people have a need for connection, and if the chances are, if you are interested in them and you're really liking them, that there's probably that kind of human connection. And I hope that I'm talking about friendship connection, right? Everybody, we're on the same page with that. So I would definitely say, you know, you want to go get a cup of coffee? And sometimes people would say, no, I'm sorry, I'm just really busy. I don't have time. Okay, that's cool. But sometimes people are like, yes, I would love that. That sounds great. Because there's always those times when you know that you're making that connection with another person, right? All right. Oh no, Luke, what did you say? I didn't see your question. Submit it again, please. Let's see. Oh, okay, Rebecca, good tip. Rebecca says, I learned to introduce people by sharing something you find interesting about that person with the person you're introducing them to. I've done that, but I haven't done it in a while. But yes, I've tried to think of something that I just really like about them. Like, this is so-and-so, and I love her laugh. You're going to love her, or something like that. That's great. Let's see. Bye, Claire. Good night. Have a great date. I'm glad you stopped by. Yes. And so I see a lot of moms talking about it's really hard with 2 children. So when I had, or with small children, when I had small children, I would often have my coffee with friends at McDonald's where they had a play place, or at the park or something like that, where you could be eyes on, but not have, but still have conversation, you know. So here's a couple things. People are busy, and people are, we all think about ourselves, I think first. As much as I would love to be altruistic, as much as I would love to think about the needs and desires of others, I don't always. I'm often self-centered, and I know that about myself. I'm also not a super great friend that's going to be calling you every day and being like, hey, how you doing? You know, I don't have that in me to be that friend as much as I would love to. I have a couple really close friends that I check in with pretty regularly, but my other friends, it might be 3 or 4 months. Some of you saw my post, I don't know if I put it on YouTube or just on Instagram, but when my car broke down and my friend came and picked me up and we went out to breakfast, I hadn't seen her in like 4 months, and we only text back and forth like, I don't know, a couple times, maybe once a month or so. But I still consider her one of my closest friends. It's just because our lives are busy. And so I decided coming here that I would be gracious with people's time and not have expectations that they could not meet, especially because I was moving into their lives. I was invading, you know, their life. Let's see what else. Let's see what people are talking about. Looks like mostly just chit chat. Did Luke's question ever get resubmitted? I don't know. Sorry, Luke. Let me scroll up and see if I see it anywhere up there. I don't see it. All right. So I see that Jay says, I prefer a buffer person, 3 adults, so that I don't have to carry so much of the conversation and it's less draining. Yeah, I do much better one-on-one than I do with a group. I know I have one friend, when she gets a group together, she thrives. Like, she lights up, she comes alive. She would be a classic extrovert. I'm not. I do a lot better one-on-one. But one thing that I do also, in addition to coffee, I might say, hey, you want to go look at antique stores with me? Because then you got something to do besides just like staring each other's eyes, like weird first date kind of stuff. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to mention. So I did want to say, there was one situation where there was another mom at church and her kids were in my kids' age, like teenagers. And so I just went up to her one Sunday and I was like, hey, and we had talked a few times at church and I was like, you want to go get coffee or something? And she's like, yeah, sure. Well, then the day that coffee came, she sat down across from me. She's like, okay, what's up? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, why did you want to get together? Like, she was worried that I had something important I needed to discuss with her or something like that. And so I was just like, no, I just wanted to get to know you more because I'm kind of new to the area. So you may have some people do that. All right, here's Lou's question. Did you find people to be receptive of you moving into their small town from California? Yes and no. I have heard people talk about, too many Californians, everybody's moving here from California. So I didn't really advertise too much that I was from California when I first moved here. But I kind of had a secret weapon because my parents had moved here about 10 years before we did. And my dad moved here in retirement and he did small odd jobs. He worked for a large construction company for most of his career, but he had worked his way up. He had done concrete, he had done tiling, he had done all sorts of stuff. He had owned his own business. Then he worked for this large construction company and worked his way up. When he retired, he started doing odd jobs around town. So he got to know the people in the construction, what do you call those stores? Hardware stores. And he had done like remodeling on people's houses and stuff. And my dad, he has since passed away, but he was such a lovely person. Everywhere I went, people would say, oh, are you Claude's daughter? Oh, I love your mom and dad. Your dad is such a good man. Like, that was the one phrase everybody said about him. Your dad was such a good, or is at that time, he was still living when I first moved here. Your dad is such a good man. How's he doing? So I kind of had a little bit of an in because my parents had come and kind of set the stage for me. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, Christy, I'm the same way. If it's a big group, I'm going to be kind of like a little bit on the outskirts. Okay, so let's talk about some other things. So we talked about asking questions. We talked about being interested. Let's talk about body language. I tend to stand like this. Like, that's my natural go-to position. It's comfortable to me. My other one, especially like when I'm cooking, I stand with a hand on my hip. Neither of those are great open body language when you're trying to get to know somebody. So I've learned to make an effort of standing very open to somebody. I also get distracted. I also am nosy and I want to know what people are saying in the other like booth on the other side or, over there in that little circle. And it takes concerted effort for me to pay attention to the person that I'm with and not be hearing 3 different conversations and looking at the news, on the TV in the diner or whatever. So make an effort to have good body language, smile, nod, touch people, but not like in a weird way. Put your hand on someone's arm if it makes sense. High five them, something like that, Let's see what this says. Jay says, town stuff is hard. We're 30 minutes from the nearest town, and if we're there, it's church or a grocery run. So other than church, I don't meet people much. Yeah, It's hard. I mean, and I really did start at church. So let me tell you guys a story about at church. At that time, our children's pastors, who I didn't see much because they were always with children, they did video announcements. So they did these video announcements that were played during church service. I had never met them, and she cracked me up. She was just a riot, and I thought, I love her. I want to be her friend. So after church, I walked myself downstairs to the children's department. I waited till all the children had been collected, and I walked up to her and I'm like, hi, I saw your video announcement and you're hilarious and I think we need to be friends. And I just invaded her life. And you know, that was so unnatural for me to do, but I did it. And we actually turned out to be really good friends. She calls me her sticky friend. Let's see. So Jen, you get look happier. Why aren't you having fun? Yeah, you know, it's hard. It's hard. Let's see. You were saying something about you have. Let me go back up and see if I can find it. Did you say R? What did you call it? Maybe it wasn't you. Oh, there it is. OJ, I have RBF and I cross my arms a lot. I have anxiety, especially in social situations, so I look inviting usually. I have eyes that turn down and a mouth that turns down, so I think I look like that too. I remember one time, often people that I really admire think that I don't like them, and it took me a long time to realize that I must be like really intense on my face or something. I don't know. Or I think perhaps also it's because I was rather standoffish because I was intimidated and they took that as I didn't like them. So I really have to make that effort to be friendly and to show it. And it is hard. Let's see. Hello, Vicky. Thanks for joining. Hello, Grace Homestead Farm. I've had that as well. Right, my husband's friends thought I was stuck up. It's because I'm shy. No, Ashley, we need the friendly people. We need the friendly people to warm us up a little bit, to give us some magical hugs. Yes. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna just check over my notes. Anybody have any questions? Oh yes, there's someone. Do you find that your interpreting plays a part in how you interact with people because of the difference in culture? No, I wouldn't say because of the difference in culture, because my first culture is hearing culture. But I think that because I'm an interpreter, that's part of, I know a little bit about everything, so I can really talk about anything, and I can ask questions, like, because I want to know stuff. I think that's like part of the interpreter brain. But it, yeah, I would say. Okay, so Rainbow Valley Ranch is a hugger too. All right. Yeah, I tell my friends, I'm like, if you're gonna, if you get like need comforting, I'm probably not the friend to come to, because I'm gonna be like awkward pat on the back and be like, there, like I don't know what to do. So I'm probably not that friend. And I have a heart. I swear I'm not heartless. My heart goes out to you. I just don't know what to do. All right. Let's see. Who have we got? Hello, Hamilton Farm. Thank you for stopping by. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. I don't know where everybody's at. Okay. So, let's see if I had anything else in my notes to talk about. Yeah, and I think I may have mentioned this, but not every person you meet is gonna be your BFF, right? And that's okay. And I think it took me a while to figure out that it's okay to have different degrees of friendships. Like I have people that I'm acquaintances with and I'm friendly with, and then I have people that I would consider friends, and then I have people who are close friends. And that's okay. And sometimes someone who has been a really close friend, something happens in their life, they're going through a season or I'm going through a season, and we're not as close as we used to be, but that's okay. It doesn't mean that we love each other any less. It doesn't mean that I am mad at them. It just means we're going through a season. And so I think it's important that we have grace with people. And I think it's important too that we give ourselves grace. That is something that I have really only learned probably in the last couple of years, is to not be so hard on myself and to really just embrace my dirtiness. I say I'm adorkable. Um, it's who I am. I'm smart and a little bit sarcastic, and that's who I am. So, all right, guys, let's see. Um, okay, so any questions? Any last comments? We have about 15 minutes left. Let's see. I know time is a big issue, and we did talk about that. Like, we're on the farm, we're busy on the farm. Time is a big issue. So I think that it's important to be reasonable. We probably can't take a whole day every week and go do something fun with the girls and have a girls' day out. That's probably not going to happen. But I think that we can, when we do have those times, like I talked about having coffee dates, breakfast dates. So my favorite thing, so any of you who come to visit me, this is what we will go do. Well, first you can hang out on my farm and play with my animals and dig in the dirt with me. I will put you to work gladly. But if we're going out for the day, we're going to go have brunch. I have a couple favorite restaurants. We will have a good, nice breakfast. We'll sit there for maybe an hour. We're going to talk. We're going to have a heart to heart. We're going to talk about what's going on in your life, what's going on in my life, what's going on. And then we're going to go somewhere where they sell old stuff. That's like my ideal day out. But sometimes it's just coffee. Sometimes it's just, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes because that's all I've got. Let's see. Luke said, how did your kids do with making friends? It was harder for them, especially for my older girl. She had some tough times at school, and when she moved here, she was 15, and she had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, and I had ruined her world by taking her away from the beach and the pool and bringing her out to this rural place. And so she was not, she didn't try real hard to make friends. She had a wall up. My other one made friends a little bit easier, but they're both doing okay now. Let's see. What is the first thing I notice about a person? That's a good question. I'm not sure. I do notice how people speak. And I want to make sure I'm careful here, because I'm not saying that you have to be a highly educated person, but I do like people who can speak knowledgeably about whatever their field of interest is. So even if that's just a mom who can talk about the latest stuff that's going on in her mom life, I like that. I like to have good conversation. I hope that makes sense. Hamilton Farn says, speak as in an accent. No, speak as in the way they hold a conversation or what they talk about. Grace Homestead Farm says, my daughter has Asperger's and has a very hard time making friends. My son is very shy, so me being an introvert is not helping him. My oldest is an extrovert and does not meet a stranger. All right. Let's see. Hamilton Farm, you're in trouble. Why? That's probably somebody else's aside conversation. Rocky Brook is just getting here. Hello, thanks for joining. We've been talking about making friends as adults, making friends as homesteaders, and some of the particular challenges when a lot of us leave somewhere and move to a new, smaller, isolated place, and how we overcome those challenges. All right. Let's see. And Prep Starter Bob is here. Hello. We're just getting ready to close out pretty soon, but I'm glad you stopped by. Hey, can everybody say thanks to the moderators? You guys are really great. Thank you all for being here. I don't even know whether we had any problems tonight because I have not seen one thing. Y'all have taken care of it. Appreciate it. All right, so any last thoughts? So I would say, was there anything that we talked about tonight that was new to you? Was there anything that you thought of that I should have said that I didn't say? And if you wouldn't mind, before you log out and leave, if you'd leave a thumbs up and let YouTube know that you like this kind of content, that does help. If you're not a subscriber to my channel, I'm going to ask you to do so. I'm really close to 5,000. Let me just pop over here and see where I'm at. I'm just creeping along. Oh, I don't even know if I can get there from this screen. I think I was at like 49.29 or something like that, which is silly because it's like 70 away from 5,000. And I was getting several subs a day, and then all of a sudden I stopped getting any. So it would be nice if I hit that 5K mark. If you guys don't mind giving a sub, if you like my content, I'd appreciate it. How to handle gossips. Yes, okay. Well, I think, first of all, just realizing that gossip is a part of small town life because everybody knows everybody's business. And part of it is going to be care for each other. So in our small town, when there's tragedy, people throw fundraisers and do all sorts of things and pitch in and help each other. So there is that positive side of knowing what's going on in everybody's life. But there are people who just like to share a good story. So how to handle gossip. So if I'm talking to somebody and they're starting to share something that is gossipy, I typically, if I can think quick enough, because sometimes I am like a little bit shocked by stuff, or not shocked, but I kind of get that, like, I'm taken aback and I'm like, wait, what do I do? What do I do? Kind of like frozen in the moment kind of thing. But I try very hard not to be a gossiper, and I have actually stopped people, especially people I'm related to, and said, well, are you about to tell me something good about this person? And if they say, not really, then I'm going to say, is it something that I really need to know for my safety or the safety of my family? Because if it isn't, I really don't want to know. I don't want to know things that are bad about other people. And I just stop them in their tracks and say, I'd rather not hear it. And I try to do it nicely, and I try not to do it in like, I don't gossip. I'm so, because I'm not. I'm human. I'm no better than anybody else. But that's something that kindness is such a high value to me that I want to be kind to people who are not with me. And because I don't want people speaking badly about me when I'm not there, or when I'm there, either one. So I don't want to be a part of that. And I just try. And like, even we had a guest singer at our church, and she was like a gospel singer with like the big, the poof hair and at our life group, which was mostly women, somebody was like, can we just take a second and talk about her hair? Like, is it 1984 still? And I was like, no, we're not going to take a minute, and we're not going to talk about her hair. And these were all women that I knew and I was comfortable saying, but I was like, nope, we're not doing, nope. Just no. We're not talking about whether it was real, whether it was her own hair or a wig. We're not doing it because we're not going to be that kind of people, because we don't want someone at some other life group talking about us and our hair. So no. So I'm pretty straightforward about that, because it's just not something I tolerate very well. Also, something I'm just going to throw this in here. Take it or leave it. Because I'm a Christian, I also do not tolerate people talking about other ministries in a bad manner. And I will stop them and say they are trying to carry out God's will on their life the way that they feel that God has called them to do. And that's God's bride. And we're not going to talk bad about God's bride like that. And so if you are a believer, just take that and pray about it and decide whether you agree with me or not. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Kathleen. All right. Yeah, I think guys do it too, but they do it more joking than women do. Someone said women can be mean. They can be. Girls can be mean. Let's see. Yeah, but you know what? I think they don't like you after. You know, if someone is that concerned about, if they don't like me because I'm choosing to err on the side of being kind, then they just don't like me. Not everybody's gonna like me, and that's okay. It hurts when someone doesn't like me, especially if I really like them. But I don't like everybody that I meet. So if they don't like me, that's okay. I don't need that in my life. And that's hard. That's a hard place to be able to say, I guess they don't like me. Okay, moving on. You know, I might cry a little bit if y'all don't like me. But I can't control. I'm not, how do I say this? I'm not in charge of anyone else's emotions, and I can't own their behaviors, and I can't make them behave in any certain way. All I'm responsible for is the way I react or respond to their behaviors, and I can only control my own self. And a lot of times I can't even do that without God's help. I am a self-control is a fruit of the Spirit that is still growing in me. But you know, if they don't like me, then somebody else will. Somebody else will appreciate that I want to lift others up instead of tear them down. Let's see. All right. Yeah, and let's see. Somebody said something about, I figure it's up to God to discipline people, not me. Yes, it is. I agree, Christy, it is. However, if I'm half of the conversation, or I'm in the conversation where gossip is happening, then by saying nothing, I'm partaking in it. I'm implicit in it. And so I choose, that's somewhere where I step up and say, no, I'm going to be a people who encourage. I'm going to be involved in conversations where we lift people up and where we talk about good stuff. If they choose to gossip elsewhere, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to discipline them, but I'm also not going to be silent when that happens. All right. Well, we a whole hour went by. I was afraid I wasn't going to have enough to talk about. I should never be afraid about that. Once I start talking, I always have more than enough to talk about. I really enjoyed everybody being here tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of this live chat. It's been a really good conversation. So what would you guys like to talk about in the next couple weeks? If you think of anything, please let me know. Sometimes it's hard to come up. Sometimes I don't know until just like an hour before I'm getting ready to log in what I'm going to talk about. Oh, Christy, yes. Okay. I understand what you're saying. Right. Yeah. It's not our place. It's not our place to discipline people who are in ministry. Sorry, I misunderstood what you're saying. Oh, that's a good idea, Jay. Thanks. I will do that. That's a great idea. Let's see. Any last comments or questions before we log off? If not, I'm gonna start packing up. Thanks, Jen, for being here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Karen. I don't think I said hello to you yet, but I'm glad you're here. Hey, Anne. When we first moved, we were homeschooling. So Leslie actually graduated from homeschool, and we were part of a local homeschool group, and they really liked that. And then when Carter was entering her sophomore year of high school, she started going to Ava High, and she loves it. She absolutely loves it. She thrives there. She is a people person. She needs people around her. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let everybody say their goodbyes, and then I'm going to stop the chat. Have a good evening, everyone.